For me, it's like, oh, motherfucker, we've got video of you having the worst debut in history. He also rocked up to one of the guys on the team's houses, like apartments at like 3 a.m., covered in blood.
What the
blood
fuck?
all over him. And he's like, oh, this dude said I wasn't from Arizona. And this guy comes up and puts the gun like right there to like my abdomen and goes, I got you for security, bro. And I'm like, appreciate you, homie. Got a text from someone saying, hey, Justin Bieber's here. Can you come down and play basketball? Like, he needs people to play with. I'm like, oh,
Is this Melbourne, by the way?
this fucker again. Yeah. It's in Melbourne. I get this time I will, but just stop nagging me.
All right, we've got the best beard on TV in the house today. Felix Von Hofe, welcome to the dos&d show.
Yes.
Where is he?
That's a lovely little introduction. We probably shouldn't really do the clap because we normally have 3 other guys.
We normally
helping
have
with the clap.
a team
Felix has
here.
to clap himself.
That's it. We normally have a team that actually, the sound is quite loud.
Well, you know what? If you're a schizophrenic, this would be a fantastic live audience. It'd be going off right now. I can't believe you got all these people here.
Well, exactly.
We'll throw in some background noise.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll make ourselves feel better. But mate, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to chat. So and you've just come back from New Zealand this morning.
I have Kia ora, my brothers. I believe that's what they said. You know, I always like to bring
Kia ora.
something sort of weird into the broadcast. And I went up to someone and said, is it considered like racist if I say Kia ora? Is it? I think it's Kia ora is hello in Maori. Is that like? Am I going to get punched in the back of the head if I do this on the broadcast? And the guy was like, look, I think it's okay, but also I'm white, so I'm probably not the person to ask there. And I was like, it was one of those ones where it's like, okay, the risk is probably greater than the reward on this one. I'm just going to say hello and welcome to Spark Arena.
So you saved it for us at least. So,
So now I've done it now.
Thanks.
So we have big Maori viewership. I apologise for the cultural.
We're guilty by association.
Mate, you're on a jam-packed schedule by the sounds. How's it going balancing everything?
Yeah, it's good. Well, the good thing about me is when you have no one that loves you and you have no kids, you are available.
He's got the
at
gags.
all
He does.
hours of the day. They know that no longer do they call me and ask whether I can do something. They just book me in because they know I've got nothing else going on with my life. But no, it is good. It's a lot of travel at the moment, which
What is, so maybe fill in for those that don't know, your role with the NBL specifically.
Yep, so I'm a commentator, host, play-by-play, do various sort of things. Anything that they're paying for, I will do. I'm a sucker for
anything paid.
Yeah. If there's anything I can invoice for, and I mean anything, I'll do it.
We definitely were talking about insurance scams about 10 minutes ago.
Anything. If there is a way to make money below board, find it for me. No. So play-by-play caller, host, courtside, do all of that sort of stuff for the NBL. The great thing with the NBL is because they like high energy, which, as you can see, helps with me. You can just go real batshit insane. And then Larry's sitting there going, fantastic. That's what we want. And that's why it sort of works for me. But yeah, so I've been traveling around a lot through this December, January period. The good thing about the NBL as well is that there's games all the time. It's not like the AFL where you just sideline to the weekend. Like, we'll throw in a Monday game, we'll throw in a Thursday game, which means it keeps you going. You're not just sort of like the footy where you've got, okay, the commentator's there, I'm doing Saturday, and that's all I've got. We've got a lot of different things, but with that is the travel, which is, it's good, but it's also you're heading out super early in the morning, and like last night in Auckland, we gave a dive bar a real working out because we went to dinner. I had a lot of friends over there that just happened to be there that were visiting another mate. We went out for dinner. And then someone said, there's this dive bar that plays music. And we were like, okay, it'll be one of those cover bands, which I fucking love.
Yeah.
Cover bands. Live for them. Like at the Swan.
Yeah, the Dirty
come
Swan.
on.
Yeah.
What's happened to the Swan? It's fallen apart.
Yeah, well, I think now we're too old for it.
I was just going to say, we're actually, I think, grown out of it.
It's still good. We just suck, and it's creepy if we're there.
Fair enough.
But anyway, with the cover band, which I'll digress a lot during the show as well. But
Go
they
for
need
it.
to have this at festivals. Like Beyond the Valley, you need to have a cover band just doing the Killers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. People love it. But we were like, it'll go till midnight and we'll be good, but we'll be fine. These fuckers went till 3 a.m, non-stop bangers, and we were requesting like Sia, Heart of Glass, and like Dancing Queen by ABBA, and this guy would go straight
All the
from
classics.
Mr. Brightside to, the Dancing Queen.
Wow.
What do you call it?
What are we talking? A three-piece?
the range.
A four-piece band? Or what was it?
Three-piece.
Three-piece?
Three-piece
Jeez,
band,
wow.
yeah. Unbelievable. The range and the endurance, you'd hope to think that these guys would have had a better career than the 8 Auckland Dive Bar. Says me, who's sitting in there drinking God knows what at 3 a.m, yelling, do see ya.
Well, I'm interested in your travel exploits, and I've always wanted to ask, like we said, we have some guests and they may expand, others don't expand so much, but Do you have contacts in all kind of states?
For what?
Maybe,
My God.
maybe
personal?
There really is nothing off limits.
There's nothing off limits here. When you might feel lonely at night, perhaps, have you got them lined up everywhere? Or?
Mate, I'll tell you what the most disappointing thing about me is. I've been in one like half relationship in my life. I do not text anyone. I do not use the dating apps. Like it's the only time that there is the occasional conquest, of course, when you go out. But you could, and I've always said this. If, for example, last night, if I'm out with the guys and we're having a great time, Jessica Simpson in her prime could walk up, and it is just like this condition I have where I'd be like, I apologise, Jessica, but the cover band's got 40 minutes left. And I can't leave. I'd have 2 kids and a happy wife if I had this just ability to leave the fucking venue. But I just can't. And then you're left at, 6 a.m. and it's last chopper out of Saigon type territory. And it's like, you know what, I just might be heading home. So yeah, no, if there's a therapist around, then maybe there's a way that people fear of commitment. Mine's just I'm not leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving.
I'm not fucking leaving. I'm staying here because the DJ's got about 10 good minutes left in it. So
What was being that person like over in the States then? Because I'm sure that would have been another level.
I was not that person in the States.
Okay, good.
For some reason, when I came over here, I think I just you enjoy yourself too much in the States that you come back and it's just there's no dopamine left.
Yes.
But it is there is an element of that, and I know that guys have spoken about that from being in college. There's very different sort of the attitudes towards, going out, whether it be picking up or whatever it is very different over in college. Like over here, you get women that are called different names for, if they're considered promiscuous or something like that. Whereas in America, I just didn't find that same sort of judgment on the women's side. That just wasn't a thing. Everyone was just sort of, oh, okay, they're doing it. And maybe it's because you're younger and you're doing all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's definitely a big difference between the attitudes over there in the States, I find, than over here.
1,000%.
I was just going to, you could vouch for that.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Yeah, 1,000%. But are you, in all seriousness, like when looking at how busy you are and how hard you work, are you a workaholic and have you always been that way?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I'm lucky that what I do is what I love doing. So it's like if I could work 7 days a week, which, you potentially get, like, I don't know if you guys heard of the Ryan Seacrest schedule.
No, I know who
Seacrest,
he is, but
man, it's like he's working 7 days a week and he's flying during most days from like New York to LA during the day on a jet. So it's like it's that sort of stuff. But then you look at some of these guys and you look at their lives outside of work and their addiction issues, their marriages are falling apart. So there is a sort of middle ground you've got to find there. I think I've got it pretty good at the moment. My main issue is that all of my work is, especially during the footy season, there'll be a bit more for me during the week, during the AFL season this year. But at the moment, it's all during the weekend. So it's like my friends are just all like DJs on Chapel Street. We're the only ones free at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. Like I'll message the guys, hey, let's do something. It's like, well, no, I'm working. So it's, that's one of the annoying parts of it. But yeah, I would say if given the opportunity, which it's sort of, I think it's tracking to a little bit more. We've got a lot more in the sort of pipeline in 2025. It is tracking to the point where it's like, okay, well, there's going to be a point where you've actually got to take a bit of time off here and sort of get that work-life balance a little better.
And then what about being the workaholic, but getting to work with alongside probably, you mentioned Gazy before.
Yeah.
Like these guys, you grew up probably bloody idolising, watching on telly, and now you get to just, chill and work together.
And it's unbelievable. And you look at like even guys, even like callers like Anthony Hudson and Dwayne Russell, like just getting to work with them is like, hold up, you used to just listen to these guys, and these guys whereas now they're friends and all that sort of stuff. So it's very cool. But
actually, I do want to bring one thing up. I didn't even think of it till now, but Dwayne Russell, he
milkman,
he heard me talk about this. We love Dwayne. But the shake and bake, he loves shake and bake.
Oh, mate.
He's taking it to footy.
Yeah. And you know what? Dwayne used to cop a bit in the bar. He's focused on footy now just because it's, as you get older, when he does the footy's second nature to him, whereas with the NBL, you'd have to do a bit of research to it, and he's just locked in with the footy now. But he was one of those guys where people would always rag on him when the game would be a 20-point game, and he'd be like trying to stoke a bit on it. They're not dead yet. There's life in them yet. And they'd cut to the crowd. The cameraman would also always do Dwayne incredibly dirty. He'd be like,
the crowd are
on their feet, and we cut to some like 14-year-old chick like that. Like, come on, a bit of theatre.
Yeah.
And that's what he's great at. And you notice that he's on like, you know, a lot of Sunday games and stuff like that, where he brings this energy to it. And that's one of the things, like, you try to take a bit from everyone, but still be yourself when it comes to being a caller or it comes to being a host in anything in the entertainment sort of TV industry. You take little bits of what people do. You look at Hamish McLachlan, how he just looks so calm in everything that he does. Like, he's always like, hey, it's sort of cool. Whereas Dwayne Russell, like, the bit that you take from him is, it doesn't matter what the scoreline is. Someone might just be tuning into the game right now. And they want to continue to watch and, you know, sell the dream that this team could come back. Let's not go Terry Bailey and sell the dream too much here, like in the racing world. But sell the dream, and that's that sort of thing. So I think there's a little bit of each person you can take from.
Back to the episode shortly with FVH. FVH. Dos, now it's time to talk about our partners, FPH.
FPH.
No.
Yeah, okay. Fleet Plan Hire, FBH, our naming rights sponsor, our friends, the best in the business for all Earth movie needs.
Check them out right now at fbh.com.au. Chris and the team will look after you now. Let's get back into the episode with Felix Van Hofe.
FBH.
Doing a bit of research and listening to some other podcasts you've done and reading about you, I'm keen to dive into your playing days, but...
Oh, geez, that'll be quick.
Before we do that, and just probably staying on the same theme, your work ethic and attitude as a player compared to probably now stepping away from that, does it correlate? Were you very much the same? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, my parents didn't play basketball at all, didn't play any sort of sport. I was never naturally gifted. Like, I suck at every other sport. I was just obsessive with basketball.
Yep.
Like, I didn't drink till I was 18, didn't party, do any of that sort of stuff. My God, I've fucking made up for it now. Holy shit. Like, I look back on that, I was like, wow, what a waste of saving up all that goodwill. It's like saving up all your money and then you just blow it in a day. To cop that liver. But yeah, the work ethic definitely did translate over. But I find that in this industry now, anyone that's been involved in team and organised sport, you naturally understand how to take criticism. You naturally understand that it's a team aspect. It's not all just, you know, some people go in there and it's like, okay, I did my job. I was great. They weren't good. Well, they weren't good because you fucking threw to them in the worst times possible and all that sort of stuff. So you've got to understand the product has to be good. So everyone's got to be on one thing together. But I think that'd be the biggest thing when it comes to what you take from playing sport to whether it be corporate. I think corporate stuff is probably more so. You see those elements of teamwork and all that sort of stuff. But I've found that there's a lot of stuff, mainly it's the taking criticism. Like, some people, they just cannot take, like, someone will call them after a game or whatever and say, hey, we thought that you did we need you to do this a little bit more. And they'll say that to me with play-by-play, especially in the early going, like, hey, maybe don't, like, say, cash it every time they fucking score. There could be a single other descriptive term. They're just using the same word every time. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I did say that 100 times. And that's what's, whereas some people are like, oh, fuck, they think I'm doing a shit job. They're terrible at it. And you're like, man, just relax. They just want this to be the best. If they weren't telling you that, you wouldn't have a job.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing in this industry. No one's going to tell you most of the time you're doing shit. You're just going to stop getting work. So if someone's telling you, hey, do this, do that, it's a positive thing.
Yes.
I actually think of us as well, like, straight away. I think we don't have anyone telling us anything.
Fuck you guys. This is shit. What are you guys doing? And look where you are now.
But the worst one is, and I've definitely, like, been vigilant. Is the word vigilant?
Yeah.
On the word like.
Yeah.
You know, like, like Felix, you know,
Yeah.
Were there certain vocab and words in your vocab that you had to scrap that you knew, fuck, I'm saying this too much?
I'll tell you the worst one, and I hate it. I love saying bang, but it's Mike Breen's thing in the NBA.
Oh.
So I don't yell it. I just go bang. I just give it a quiet one, bang. But it's his thing, so I've got to stop saying it because it's like it's not my thing. And then there's a couple of those ones. Yeah, but it's like, God, it's 2025. We've got nothing left. We've got to start speaking Chinese for it to be unique. So yeah, there is a few things like that. It was cash it for me and let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
Which was let me tell you, they're not dead yet. Like, they're down 40. They're down 40. The game was over 5 minutes ago, man. Let me tell you, there's been protests in the past where this has come back. But yeah, let me tell you was someone told me that they tried to be nice about it, but I could tell that they were annoyed watching the game, and then cash it. But you know what I actually do now, and this is another thing where you just got to not like care what anyone else thinks, even though it might be embarrassing. So I've got a vocab list of different descriptive words for everything, whether it be a rebound. So rebound,
nice.
grabs the board, tracks it down, and I've written all that down. I've got it laminated, and I take it to games. So I'll have it there. So just in case something messes up, and I find myself saying the same thing over and over again, you can just look at the sheet and do it. Just my luck, I'm going to look at the sheet and like the dunk of the year is going to happen. I'm going to look up, tracks it down. Oh, fuck.
Tracks it down.
Yeah, but stuff like that. Like originally I was like, man, I'm going to look like an idiot here. Like, I've played basketball for goddamn 15 years. So why have I got a vocab sheet on knocks it in, makes it?
Was it hard being a white guy doing this too? Because I feel like as a white guy saying, like especially in basketball slang, it doesn't always.
We're
fit,
naturally not very cool. We're naturally not very cool.
No.
So it is definitely.
Like, have you had to like stop yourself from saying certain things because you're like, that just doesn't quite fit.
I've had to stop
What are
myself
some examples? Do you have any? Come on.
Well,
I don't think they use the words that I can't use.
no, we're not talking about that.
I'm not
Let's be
sure what
clear.
stream you're watching here, but send it to me.
Well, did you always, like when you were playing, did you have one eye on the media afterwards, or was it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think it was probably like when I was a kid, I was one-eyed. It was, you're making the NBL, NBA, or fucking God knows what. But then as I sort of, especially when you go to college, and this is why you get a lot of kids that don't go to college or they'll go for a year and come back. Now, unless you're someone who can go in the Next Stars program, in the NBL, which is the best of the best, these guys are going in the fucking NBA draft lottery, that sort of stuff. I always encourage everyone to get to college for that, like my level of player. If you're not, like I was never really an NBA prospect. If you're an NBA prospect, NBL route's the best thing you can do. But if you're not, man, 4 years of college, because you experience basketball may not be what you want to do.
Yeah.
You can still, the NBL pays really well. Like comparative to AFL and, the numbers and everything, it's
Really?
man.
What are they?
There's guys on there's guys on 800,000, a million.
Australian players?
Bryce Cotton would be the one on $1 million. There'd be a lot of guys on 500.
What about the lower end?
The lower end? Well, the minimum in the AFL is about 200. The minimum in the NBL is around 80.
Yeah, okay.
I think, and that's the absolute minimum. But a lot of guys, you get guys in there that are not playing that much, so they'll be on 160.
Yeah, wow.
So you get
Right.
the money's actually good because it's privately owned.
Yes.
So whenever you get things like that where it's like, okay, there's a bidding war between owners for a player, it's a bit, you can sort of usually milk a bit more cash out of it.
Is there a salary cap within the NBL as well?
Yeah, there's a soft cap.
So
you
soft
can
cap.
go over it. So like the
Yep.
Perth Wildcats are probably going to have to pay $1.2 million a year for Bryce Cotton. Then they'll have to go in the luxury tax. And what happens? You have to pay then, say if you're 200,000 over, you have to split that cash, I believe, with the other teams. You're going to pay a certain amount to each team or something. Someone smarter than me has worked out the maths on what has to happen.
Yeah. Well, we had Beck Cohen last year.
Yeah.
And she talked about the effect Larry's had, especially in the
Oh, yeah.
WNBL. What's the effect you've seen in the men's NBL?
Man, this guy, like, I don't think people understand because everyone's always a perfectionist and they want like everything to be like, oh, the basketball's improving right now. The NBL would be dead and buried if it wasn't for Larry Kesselman. Like dead and buried. And people are like, oh, no, he made a good investment. This guy took a massive loss on the league. Now, he's a businessman. These guys don't take losses. Like, he is a stone cold businessman. Some of the dealings that people have with him and stuff, they're like, man, this guy is sharp as a fucking tack.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like, he gets shit done. And he always has. And like, when you look at everything from, you could buy the league and you could just continue to have your boards and stuff like that. But the best thing that the NBL has is we've got Larry at the top. Now, there's decision makers throughout. We've got a great CEO, media people that work in there are fantastic. But Larry, what he wants, goes. So Larry goes, I want the season a bit longer. Bang, it happens. I want this Hoops Fest thing over in Perth. We're going to open the season in Perth. Bang, it happens. I want so-and-so, up the cap. All these things that in other sports would take so long to do, Larry just gets it done because he owns the league and he runs it and he backs his own decisions. So, for example, one of the best things that's happened to the NBL is this Next Stars program where we get LaMelo Ball and stuff like that. Man, imagine trying to initiate one of these if you got a board of like 30 people and they're like, oh, I don't think we should have these young kids from America.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
Let's vote.
Let's vote. Like, no. Let's not have that. Like, Larry comes in and goes, this is what's best for the league. Bang. Send the teams over and play in the NBA. The amount of innovation that the NBL has had as opposed to something like the A-League, who's still running by a board, even, Big Bash League, these other sports. man, we've done about 100 different things and changed them up, gotten celebrities over to do commentary and all this sort of stuff. That ain't happening in other leagues. And I think sometimes, you can hit and miss with those sort of things. There's been far more hits than misses, but that's the thing that I'm always appreciative of, being able to work in that space where it's like, fuck, we get to do all this cool shit because it's not this bureaucracy where it's not in the spirit of the game. Like, fuck that, man, this is a business. And I think it's being run like one. And getting the old heads, the old, people that have paid the best. Well, I'll probably say the best decision for the NBL was to get rid of, the people that had played basketball their whole lives and they look through a basketball mind. We have the head of it, Kesselman, who's a businessman, looks at it through a business lens, also loves basketball, which helps. They brought in Jeremy Lowliger, who was a lawyer. He came in, did fantastic things. Dave Stevenson, now the CEO. These aren't just guys that are basketball coded. They're looking outside of things. Nick Trilson for Melbourne United, the CEO, is a footy guy who's come from different spaces. Like, getting people where they're not like, this is how it's always been done, this is how it should be done, is the most important thing. And I think a lot of sports, I hope they don't do it because the NBL's fucking coming.
Yeah.
And you're down here, and stay down there, motherfuckers. Go kick your soccer ball. Go kick your soccer ball in Europe, man. It's basketball town now.
Yeah.
I'll let cricket play. We love cricket. But that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Being able to look at it through an open lens and not just basketball mind.
Sounds a bit like the new US government, actually.
Yeah. Mate, well, if they can get shit done like Larry does, then they'll be well off.
It breaks my heart a little actually hearing that because I'm a big sock fan and I hate what it's like here. Like, I can't stand it.
It should be huge. It should be huge.
And it was big for a period. We followed overseas and it's great to watch overseas, but you want it to be big in your own country too. So it's great seeing the NBL take off like it has. How have you gone How have you gone balancing being the player in the squad to now being the media and the interactions? Is it different?
Yeah, it is interesting. It's like you never want to be too critical because you're wary of. So I actually find it's easier. Now I try not to be, because I host play-by-play on Overtime, the show we do, I have to do a little bit more analysis, but I try to stay away from too much of being critical because I am wary that I scored 2 points in my NBL career. I'm wary that...
Keep the opinions to yourself.
Can you imagine... it's actually better off if you'd never played because there's no benchmark. It's like, this guy's just known basketball his whole life. Whereas for me, it's like, motherfucker, we've got video of you having the worst debut in history. Can you imagine waking up in the morning? You're an NBL... You're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You've done all this. And my dumb ass is sitting there saying... You're not good enough. The team needs to cut you. Man, you'd fucking quit. You'd be like, I'm done. So I am wary of that. But also, you've got to, if one of the best quotes ever is a politician said it. If you want friends, get a dog. Yeah. Because you've just got to put your work ahead. And as long as you are never being, now players will always get annoyed at you. I had someone in New Zealand, Matt Mooney, walk past and said, fuck off. Because I was quite critical of him during the year. Now, is that appropriate? Probably not. But you know what? That's just someone he's on a job where you can get fired if you don't perform. And if I'm over there stoking the flame saying maybe he's not the right guy for the position, an American guy, then of course you're going to be annoyed. So you've sort of got to look at it, take the emotion out of it in that sort of sense.
We've had the privilege of sitting down with journalists, reporters, commentators, and it's really interesting hearing... And I was hearing your perspective on this in terms of, like you said, the brutality of just people. These are their lives and careers that can get cut, and we probably don't think about it when people are criticising so harshly. So,
and you forget how much as well, especially in a small space like the NBL. Public sort of what people are thinking can actually influence. Now, I'm not saying directly what I say is going to influence something, but say if we're on the marquee show Overtime, and our big thing is this guy's not performing up to standard. The fans naturally are going to, I always say regurgitated opinions. People always want ready-to-go opinions when they're not paying that much attention. So someone can watch that show and they say, okay, John Smith is not playing well. They're like, okay, well, that's my opinion now as well. So then they go to their mates and they go on Facebook and be like, John Smith sucks, he's not playing well. They might not even believe it, but it's an opinion that makes them look educated. So that's how things, you call it water cooler opinions. They keep spreading and they keep moving through. And then all of a sudden, and then the club's like, geez, the public doesn't like this guy, everything, he's not playing that well, maybe we will. So there is stuff that plays into that a little bit. So I'm understanding of where players can get annoyed.
I think of, for us, so like Dos said, we're big soccer fans or EPL fans, but obviously the time zone, like it doesn't really correlate. So
Best thing that ever happened to the A-League and the NBL is the American and European time zones.
Yeah.
Because we're competing. The AFL and NRL, they're the top. It's
Yeah.
the best league in the world. They don't have to compete with anything. Whereas you can go and watch the NBA and it's a better product. You can go watch the EPL and it's a better product. But thank God it's at annoying times.
yeah, but,
So
but
it's not competing head to head. Otherwise, we'd all be fucked.
But the thing about it is, if you're not watching the game and analysing it yourself, you might listen to an hour podcast that does a quick wrap of the week, and they say so-and-so's had another stinker, for example. It might be, and you're not sitting there watching the whole game, you might see the highlights. So then, like you said, it makes sense that opinions correlate like that.
Yeah. They always say Colin Cowherd is the worst at it because what happens, he's a football guy. Yet his show has to include NBA. So you've got this massive horde. People listen to Colin Cowherd for football. So you've got this massive horde of football fans getting NBA news from Colin Cowherd, who usually just goes for like the hot take critical. And then they're like, okay, whenever NBA comes up, they're like, oh yeah, Russell Westbrook sucks. So it's like, hold up, you don't know anything about the NBA. You're just saying that because it was on there. It's like, no, he's fucking can't shoot. Like, so then you've got this whole narrative that's been brought by a football show.
Yeah.
And it's vice versa. You know, you get on basketball shows, if sometimes they'll talk football and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's regurgitated opinions can be a little dangerous, but fun, very fun.
Have you seen like a difference since obviously Larry's come in? Like, and there is, but it'd be great to hear your opinion on just how much better the quality is of the actual game.
Mate, incomparable to now. The quality sort of 20 years ago was really, really good. When you talk about world basketball, like when Gazy and all these guys were playing, the quality was actually really good. No one played a lick of defense. No one cared about defense, but you know what? Good. Get that out of the game. No one cares if you can slide your feet and stop a guy scoring. Boo. Kick him out. Jail these motherfuckers who can defend. But over the last, like, especially since when I first came into the league, and you look at some of the players that were getting jobs, they wouldn't be anywhere near it at the moment. Like, we're getting guys that are coming back from a 4-year college career and they're not playing that much at all. Where in the past, they would be getting into almost a starting position. So it does, and that comes with money. And it also comes with now guys can come into this league and they know, especially the imports, there's NBA eyes watching. Because the Next Stars program, got all these guys that are going to be in the draft lottery. The NBA, like I was standing there, I was standing outside a taxi rank. Someone could have given the fucking heads up on this one. Outside with me and John Casey. And I'm standing there and I'm talking to Casey about some abhorrent thing that he just wanted no part of. Like, I'm not dragging him down with me. Talking. And then these other guys come over and they're like, oh, Von Hofe. And like just regular guys. And they were talking and they were asking about some stuff. And we're just, we're just chatting absolute shit. And they're like, anyway, yeah, this guy's the GM of the Clippers. You could have told me that. You could have told me that before I just disgraced the entire
I'd love
nation.
to know what you actually said.
Yeah. That's the next pod. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like they come out here, and the GM of the Clippers was out here for 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Just going around watching the NBL. So
It's great, yeah.
because now what happens is, in the past it was really hard to work out. Okay, if someone's averaging this in the NBL at this age, what are they going to do in the NBA? Whereas now, so many guys have gone over to the NBA. Like, okay, Josh Giddey averaged 15 and 6. If another kid his age is averaging 15 and 6, they're like, okay, well, maybe this guy's Josh Giddey potential.
Yeah.
LaMelo potential, that sort of stuff. Like, you look at Alex Tui's numbers for the Sydney Kings, there's guys that have gone over and played really well, averaging those numbers. So automatically it's like, okay, well, this kid, he can do that. Whereas in the past, it was like, fuck, it's like in some of these European leagues, the guy's averaging 30 points, but mate, there's a cow in the audience. you just don't know. There's a mooing in the back. What on earth is that? The mascot or is that a ticket holder?
Well, LaMelo is a great example of that. And well, we are going to dive into the other side of your college life very shortly because I'm very excited. I can't wait to hear some of these stories. But one thing that intrigued me, you talked about. I wish I should have wrote it down.
Should have. That would have been
that would
step one of research.
Yeah. But you talked about a specific coach over there in Arizona when you were there, and he was a bit of a hard ass.
Oh, Jim Hafe, my college coach?
Yes,
oh,
yes.
And man, you don't know hard ass until you've seen some of these guys over there in the States. Because you have to be...
Tell us about it.
You have to be different. Man, now Jim Hayford, I preface this story with, is someone I still contact regularly, one of the more important people in my life. If ever anything's going on, he's also one of those guys that he was incredibly tough, but he would have your back no matter what. Like, I would fail a class. He would rip the shit out of me in the locker room. Like, you stupid fucking idiot in front of everyone. But then he'd go to the professor like, are you fucking treating my kids bad? Like, he's that sort of guy.
I love those kind of coaches.
Fantastic, man. And some people couldn't deal with it. We had a lot of transfers because guys were like, okay, you probably shouldn't make people run in the snow to the Holiday Inn every time they fuck up. Like, I believe that's technically illegal. I don't think that's legal. But there was a lot of things like, he was one of those guys that was so. Let me give an example of how, like one of like the sort of things. He would walk around the top. Though he instilled a lot of fear in people. He'd walk around the top of the stadium and stuff. And I didn't know. I thought he'd gone. And we're doing this warm up drill, and I'm like, "Fuck it! Team's in a bit of a slump here. I'm going to start shooting my left hand and fucking bricking the shit over the backboard as a joke." We're doing it, and everyone sort of stops. I look over and he's there, comes up, and I've never been, like, they talk about Rodney Eade with like Dan Gorringe.
Yeah.
Never have I been ripped as hard. Like, you fucking piece of shit. Like, fucking right there. But it would have been 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And then snow, Holiday Inn. And there was just so many like, oh God, what was the... Oh, there's one that I'll tell you off, because it involves a comment that you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't talk about. But there was a lot of like what was the... Oh man, there was so many. Like, it was ingrained in, that's how it was for us. Like, we had to text him after every class. This is we had to text him after every class done.
Wow.
Every class to make sure we went.
That's like real Coach Carter shit.
It was like that because he knew that we were those sort of guys, and we won a lot of fucking games.
Yeah.
Because we got the week left. The people that couldn't take it got out quick, so we had a real tough team with it. But I remember he was pissing me off so much in my freshman year, and he was bald. And I saved his number as Chrome Dome. And I'm working on shitty Wi-Fi, couldn't afford data. We had no money. This was before NIL. So I saved his contact as Chrome Dome. And I texted him class done, but it didn't go through because I left the Wi-Fi. He's like, no text. And if you didn't text, trouble. As a freshman, trouble. You're running. You're in shit. So I'm like, no, screenshot it. I texted him.
No.
Man, I sent him the screenshot. And I realized what I'd done.
Oh, man.
Chrome Dome. And I'm sitting there going, this is the end. I'm done. I'm sitting there on the couch in the locker room like, fuck, it was good. It was. I had 6 months here.
It was a good run.
I had 6 months here, so it's done. And, he never brought it up.
No way.
Because what happened was he didn't open the screenshot. He just saw the screenshot as the preview and never opened it. And I've actually never brought it up with him either.
I never would.
But but God, it's not just the coaches, man. You play with some real interesting dudes. Like, man, Sir Washington was this guy that was from deep in the hood. We're talking like deep in the hood. Like, we don't understand. We don't have it here. Deep in the hood. Fantastic dude.
Yeah.
Was fantastic his whole life through college and stuff like that. But just, you realize that these guys come from a different background. Like, I'm logging onto Instagram now, and it's like, even Mum will say, like, did you see Sir's story yesterday? What on earth was that? And it's like, you motherfuckers coming at me.
Love how your mum follows him.
Yeah. Well, she follows a lot of the guys on the team. Maybe it's dangerous. But like, there's all that sort of stuff. But the one guy who I've never met, and I'm not going to name him because I think he's actually still around. I thought he went to jail. We all thought he went to jail. But he was playing in Mexico. I saw the most recent thing. So I'm not going to name him. So we're going to refer to him as John Smith for the duration of the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll actually say his name at some point. I did this once on a podcast and I actually named him. I was like, fuck. This guy was from Arizona. He was Arizona Player of the Year. So he was good. Unbelievable basketball. Actually, turned out he was on anabolic steroids. We realized later on. But he was unbelievable. But mentally... was just, and nowadays you'd look at it and you'd be like, okay, he's probably schizophrenic, or there's probably like, there was a serious problem there that we were just like, haha, yeah, this is crazy, but let's roll with it. He would do stuff like, we're in the middle of winter, like ice, snow everywhere, would rock up to class with no shirt on, and would just be, the teacher would say, hey, excuse me,
John.
Can you get out? John, get out of class. And he'd be like, haha, white dude, may I add, haha, nah. And he'd be like, what? No, I'm staying here, bitch. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then it just, okay, well, he's done from that class. He's got to find a new teacher. And there was just heaps of situations like that. There was one, my favorite one of all time, though, and this went into his psyche. We had scout team in basketball. So someone's got to play as the other team. Now, when you're scout team, especially when you're a freshman, okay, this guy's a shooter, this guy's a driver. There was sometimes, like I was a shooter, sometimes I had to play, okay, this guy just shoots mid-range shots. That's all you can do. John was playing as someone who did not shoot the ball ever. They could not shoot. They were a big. Did not fucking go near it shooting the ball. First play on scout team, loads of fucking 3 up from like 3 meters outside. And he's like, coach is like, hold up, you are this person, do not shoot it. That's what he used to do. Goes again, next play, does the same thing. What the fuck are you doing? Now, I'm not going to name names. He goes, I ain't that dude. I'm John Smith. What the fuck? And there was the other one where he punched a dude in the face. And then coach goes, would you do that to your brother? He's like, I'll kill my fucking brother. And we're like, yeah, let's not bring family up with this guy.
Do you, in that situation, do you almost feel like a bit of an outsider being Australian? Like,
yeah.
Like,
So I'm going, cheer up, mate.
yeah, exactly.
Cheer up, mate. What was the other? God, there was just so many different. He eventually got kicked off the team, which was sad. Oh, I vouched for him, which I never should have done. This junior college, I was over in we were in California. This junior college coach comes up and goes, hey, I've heard some bad stuff about this kid, but he's really fucking good. Is this guy, should I take the chance on him? And I'm like, you know what? And I do believe this. He's a good kid. Just needs to be in the right environment. He's terrible family stuff around him. He's a good kid. Take the chance on him. First practice, knocks a dude out. Clean out. Knocks him out off the team. Sorry, man. I guess it wasn't a good environment. Your fault.
God.
What was? Oh, there was some bad. He locked his girlfriend in the trunk of a car and forgot about her at one point. He also rocked up to one of the guys on the team's houses, like apartments at like 3 a.m., covered in blood.
What the
blood
fuck?
all over him. And he's like, this dude said I wasn't from Arizona. And the person who was living there was like, man, don't fucking come to my house if you've just killed someone. Like, do not knock on my door if you've just killed someone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but there was so many of those sort of things.
Sounds
But
like he was good to have a beer with.
So,
Man, I think he was doing a bit more than having a beer.
Was it the same coach that you were talking about earlier? The coach, this guy?
Yeah. So the thing was
That's an interesting dynamic.
Man, well, that's the thing. But the thing about Haven also understood like this guy could kill everyone in the room. So let's. He was a smart man. He was no fool at all.
Yeah.
Haven.
Different rules.
But he was the other good thing about Jim was that he was always wanted to give people a chance.
Yeah.
Like he would take this guy and he'd be like, you know what, I'm not going to. Everyone in this guy's life has given up on him. I'm not going to, and I'm going to try. And he gave it everything. More so than his parents would have, coaches would have, anyone would have given this kid. And it just didn't work because you know what? He was just, man, he's fucked. Like he was just in his head. But that's the sort of thing, like I just don't think we get exposed to people in those environments over here. Like I've never run into a dude anywhere near what this guy would be like.
Yeah.
At all. So that's just man. Cooked. Just cooked.
So it sounds like it was pretty hectic. What was the partying like? Pretty hectic?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Incomparable to here because we would go and get like a bottle of gas station alcohol, these Four Locos, and just go and absolutely get we'd be like this and it'd be like 7 p.m. and you'd still somehow make it through the entire night. And
How old were you, sorry, when you went over there?
I went over at 18 and left at like 22.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's funny because they do, there was a guy on the team who got a fake ID and they fucked up the fake ID and put June as his name instead of the birthday. So whenever we went to the bars, he was always known as June rather than his normal name.
It's so
funny.
funny.
There was all that, like we were going in there and, just getting absolutely hammered. But the house parties were where it was always that was the best thing. Because it was just like, think of American Pie and it wasn't too much different to what you see. It's so stereotypical. You'd go to one, the frats would find out that the athletes were there, they'd kick you out, you'd take the girls. And then like the frats, we hated the frats because it was the girls would prefer the athletes than the frats.
Yeah.
So there was always this ongoing war between them. And then we had this thing called the hockey house, which was the hockey team owned a house, which I shit you not, it was just derelict with like 6 bedrooms around the side and then like a DJ booth and just, fucking condom on the wall, cans of alcohol around and we'd be like, let's go, tetanus, who cares? Let's party. But when in my freshman year, my first experience over there with a gun, which I've had 2 experiences over there with a gun, which were like, okay, what the fuck was I doing there? One of them was the first one was this guy. We were having a house party. Now, when you were like a freshman, you'd have to stand out the front and make sure who was coming in and out, which sucked because it's like it's some of these big, scary looking dudes.
Yeah,
big, scary looking
absolutely.
dudes. We're coming in, and this guy comes up and puts the gun like right there to like my abdomen and goes, "I got you for security, bro." And I'm like, "Appreciate you, homie." Walk inside, like, no one fuck with the red hoodie. He's got a gun. That's it. And then there was another guy that was outside a bar that he had pulled a gun out. And I was like, "Oh, fake ass gun." And then someone was like, "It's not a fake gun."
Oh,
Because I thought it had a little orange tip. Like the fake ones do.
Like the movies.
No, but I think it was just like a silencer thing on it. And I was like, okay, well, let's remove ourselves from this situation.
He's fucking crazy over there. Like,
There was another, with that, just on the topic of like, you get some dangerous guys over there, especially in the college, like the public schools. You get some guys that are going to college because they're really good at sport. And
are you in Phoenix, by the way?
No, I was in Washington.
Oh, Washington.
Coach,
Sorry, yeah.
Coach is in Phoenix.
Oh, gotcha,
now.
gotcha,
He's over
gotcha.
there. Just playing golf every day, living the life. He's earned it though. Fuck. There was this Australian girl, and she comes up to me going, "Hey, this guy, I think his name was Tyron, and he played on the football team. Tyron fucking hit me. Like he didn't. I think he like shoved her. So I'm like, I'm Aussie over there, like 6 beers deep. I'll go sort this out. Don't worry. I'm going in there. I walk around, looking around. I walk in the kitchen. I'm like, "Where's Tyron?" He's like, "I'm here." Scariest looking motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. In my fucking life. And you know what came to my head? I was like, Lou was asking for you outside.
Oh, no.
Just gone. That same dude slashed our tires later as well.
That same night.
That same night.
Dog.
Yeah. So we were sitting in the back of a van. It was like someone had a van. And we were
I'd
sitting in
love
the
to
back
see
of it.
you in this situation.
What do you reckon I'd be like?
Yeah,
Butter.
Butter, exactly.
But it's stuff like that. You look back
So would
on
I,
it.
though.
You look back on it and it's like, man, what the fuck were we doing? Like there was so many situations like that where you'd be getting in a fight out somewhere or doing something where you're like, that is so dumb. So dumb. But it's just, the culture of over there, like drinking in college. I wonder what it's like now with like, we were around when filming shit on your phone wasn't as popular as it is now. Now it's a lot more dangerous. Like we were doing, we'd go out probably Wednesday, Thursday, play the Friday, go out on the Saturday as well, go on the Saturday night, you'd do something on the Sunday, and you'd be good as gold the next day. Like now it's a 3 to 4 day.
Oh,
recovery.
yeah.
Now it's hell. So, yeah.
Well,
just
should we jump
thinking
into our
about
first segment from there?
Yeah, well, let's do that.
Let's do it. Bryce, can you bring over the Bayford Ford mystery box? We're going to jump into our first segment.
Oh, shit.
I reckon you'll do well.
You'll do very well. So we're just talking.
How comes that Bay Ford?
Bayford
I know,
Ford.
it
Would have been
Bayford
shit if it
Ford.
was a Toyota.
It works
thing, wasn't
perfectly.
it?
I've never
Okay, here we
Now,
go.
before you pull it out, we better just say a huge thank you to our good friends at Bayford Ford. They're the very, very best DOS when it comes to the car dealerships. But I must say, it's not just the experience there. It's also now they're helping all the dos&d listeners and viewers
Forgot about this.
for service, aren't they?
I know. You can go to Bayford Ford. We all need our car service. They're
do.
going to give you a nice little discount. So tell them dos&d sent you.
What were your thoughts on that? What was your thoughts on the F-150?
Imagine if they said, who?
That would be very disappointing.
That could happen too. Actually, Felix, they gave us an F-150 to take out the other day. We gave it a good run for its
I did
money.
see that on the Instagram.
Yeah.
I was like, geez, the boys have come up.
No, we didn't buy it, unfortunately. It was all a promotional stunt. But no, we want to say a huge thank you to BayfordFord.com.
Plenty of little challenges and questions in here. So put your hand in there. You've already done that. What have you got?
It looks a bit suspect.
What have you got?
What have you got?
What's one thing that makes you angry that really shouldn't?
Ooh. Now, before, what are some examples of this? 'Cause
Don't say something cancelable here.
That's preface.
so we all get angry at, we all get angry.
Mine's on the road.
We all,
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
that's kind of a common thing. But like for me, for example, the one thing that I hate more than anything that really riles me up is when I'm walking down the street and somebody's got AirPods in and I can't get past them.
Yeah.
There's
How
like
fat are they?
Well, you're going down.
Jesus,
How fat am I?
morbidly obese people with AirPods. Oh, God, it grinds my gears. These small size
Slow
walks.
walkers, I should say. That you don't want to startle. That's
It's tough when you're that big to walk quick.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's mine personally. So
I'll say it. Faceless Twitter accounts.
love it.
People with no thing on it, because I'm all for it. Like I cop
Yeah.
it all the time.
Yes.
Like I'm an easily roastable figure. Like there's a lot of shit that you can worthwhile make fun of. Suck in a lot of areas. Come for me. You see my dumb ass talking about something, and you're very likely to say, "Shut up, idiot." If people have their I will always engage, whether it be telling them to piss off or whatever it is, if they've got their profile and it's got their face on it and name and that sort of stuff, or even it's got, you know, Cockdinger 400 and it's got their face on it, like you still like probably don't put your face to that username, but that sort of stuff. I'll always be like, you know, I'll engage and I'll be like, oh, they're just, you know, this is part of the industry. But when you've got nothing on there, it's like, man, you fucking coward.
Legit.
Like, put your face to it.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's a car ones I don't like.
And then it makes me have to fire up my burners to attack them.
Yes.
God, it's annoying.
I agree with you. That's a very good
What
one.
were you going to say then? It's the what?
Oh, it's a car profile pic.
Yeah, the car. Oh, that's all. You're done with the
That's
car.
that's a concern.
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
your profile picture.
That's the ones we cop on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
It's always cars. It's always cars.
I had one dude that said, "What is he?" He gave me a real, he gave me a whack, an anonymous profile, and then he goes, "Think about that next time you're walking around the corner to your house from electric." Oh, and I'm like, "Excuse me."
Wow.
Yeah, like they gave me a hint of like where I live. I was like, "Wow,
That is.
that'll teach me to not say." Nathan Sobey's all NBL first team, won't it? Really should have my life threatened for that. But there's little things like that where you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
there's some nutters out there.
Oh,
What's
like
well, that would have to be up there with probably one of the nuttiest things you've heard.
Oh, I had some like Papua New Guinea dude, because if you work in gambling, you cop it, who threatened to behead me. Like, just like it was in there. And you usually just delete them, but you get them all the time. But yeah, the gambling one, but it goes two ways. Like you get, you know, athletes get that sort of stuff,
true.
but it's never, you find it's not never, but vast majority of the time, it's not local. It's international.
Yeah.
Because it's these bookies that, you know, someone won't know the league and that sort of stuff. Well, you look at even when players and stuff will be posting, look at the DMs I get, man, it's all from India or all these sort of countries. Yeah. Not a lot of it's local. It's especially with basketball, you go to YouTube. They used to stream the games on YouTube. Fucking can't shoot free throws, fucking dog fucks. It's like it's all like Indian profiles, because gambling's a big
I was
thing
going
over
to say,
there.
it's normally gambling that invokes it, right?
Yeah. But it's not like, you know, someone's watching something on Sportsbet or Tab or whatever it be, and they're doing it. Australians, I find, are actually we understand that athletes are athletes. They're not out there to do that. Whereas people just have a different attitude to things overseas, and that's where you get a lot of that.
There'd be a small minority here, like a small minority.
Definitely.
Small minority, but you know what? You get those ones that are going to say, if you have a bad game or you say something wrong, they're going to say it anyway.
Because there are some nuffies.
Oh, man, there's just some losers. Like, I just bring the ID out. You've got to have ID to have social media. They'd never do it because they'd lose too many profiles.
Yes,
but it'd fix so many issues if you had to have your ID linked to your profile and do it retroactively as well, so we know who all these burner accounts have been.
Well, I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day, like literally talking about like just some of the comments you get from people, and it is
some creative shit.
Well, if it's creative and funny, we applaud it.
Yeah.
We applaud it all the time.
Yeah.
We get some really wacky. One of my favorites. It's the weirdest one of all time. It literally said, "D looks like the kind of guy that would be circumcised." Now, I'm still I don't know if that means good or bad.
Is that an insult?
Yeah, we still can't figure that out. But if they're kind of witty or creative, or
that's
funny,
the thing.
we read them
good.
out on the show and say we applaud you. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always copying it for my hair.
Yeah.
I should actually probably look in the mirror before.
Two of my biggest insecurities: my foreskin and my hair. Can you guys just leave me
Or
alone?
lack thereof, maybe.
According
According to some of the viewers, apparently.
Oh, we got the next one. Are you cut? Nice reveal.
Bryce, you can get that.
Thanks, Bayford.
Yeah, thanks, Bayford. You can get that now. Well, one thing we did want to bring up, I know you might be sick of telling this story, or maybe you're not sick of telling this story, but it's the BIEBER and the Adam Levine that incident.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That was one of the more wild incidents of my life. So went in there, got a text from someone saying, "Hey, Justin Bieber's here. Can you come down and play basketball? Like, he needs people to play with." I'm like, "Oh,
Is this Melbourne, by the way?
this fucker again." Yeah. It's in Melbourne. This time I will, but just stop nagging me. So went down there. Bieber's there. Now I knew Maroon 5, but I was like, this guy looks really familiar. Adam Levine. I actually asked Bieber, who is that guy? And he's like, oh, it's Adam Levine. But anyway, we play. Yeah, he's had to hit to the confidence. We played until like 3 a.m. and I still look back on it because we sort of fucked around there for a while as well. He had like one of those, we're doing those power bands. He was like, check how this works, and I was like, oh yeah, it fucking does. Amazing. But he's a super nice guy, fantastic kid. But I did my T-Rex impersonation.
I've heard about this.
It's quite talented, and it's as the years have gone on, it takes a few beers to get out. Now it's sort of the code to unlock. But before I used to just whip it out when you didn't know anything about women, you didn't care about breeding or doing any of that. You T-Rex impersonation can come out at any point. So I did it, and he wanted to film it and tweet it out because he was loving it. And I was like, oh no, I just can't. And now I look on it, it's like, man, I could have been one of those Vine dudes or something.
Literally,
or maybe just that weirdo that did the T-Rex impersonation.
Or it would have been a very early spike on your socials.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been great.
Oh,
but it would have been it's that Instagram back then, back in the glory days when we didn't have it.
So what year was
that?
this?
Was god.
How old's Bieber at this stage?
He was probably at like the height of his fame.
Yeah,
back when he was because I went to school the next day and people were just like, holy shit, like that's insane. Like
what remembering back to that time and how big Bieber actually was, still is, but especially in that time period, what's it like when you're shooting? Like, do you feel like you're kind of on edge or trying to impress?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I walked in and I was like, you don't want to, you want to seem cool.
Yeah.
And for someone who's naturally I'm no fucking George Clooney, so I'm sitting there just on my phone, check the weather.
Yeah, the weather app.
Yeah, the weather app. Oh, what's up, Justin? How you doing? Yeah, Adam, my guy. What's up? Yeah. She will be loved. I'm doing a bit of that. But yeah, no, he was a great guy. He was like eating McDonald's, sitting there. But apparently, because after his shows, it was so hard to come down from that high energy.
Of course.
And I think Maroon 5 might have played the same night that they were like, fuck it, let's just go and play ball until 4 a.m., get rid of the energy, and then sleep, and then they probably wake up at 5 p.m. and go and do the next show.
Which venue where were you
Albert
playing?
Park College.
Wow.
So a guy it was through a connection that was helping with their touring.
Yeah.
That knew the guy that had the keys to that facility, and then his son was good friends with me.
Oh, so this wasn't like a promo or something?
Nah, this was just we were
This
just
was
hooping.
just a shoot around.
Mate, we were just hooping
Oh,
after
I thought
after
this
the
was like a
concert.
promo,
No.
like-
And you know the worst bit? So we get this photo at the end, like fucking Adam Levine, me, Justin Bieber. For some reason, my shorts were sort of tucked to the side. I had to get in the picture to the side. I looked so gay that I couldn't post it. I was like that in the thing, and I was like, oh man. I was like, I can't post the photo.
Do you have the
But you did the T-Rex.
Yeah, it's on. I'm tagged in it on Facebook. Yeah.
Oh,
So
we got.
I'll find it and send it to you.
That's a ripper.
And shoot it through. But yeah, God, that was.
That's insane because you do hear stories. I remember when Bieber came out one year and they were talking about him skateboarding. Do you remember that?
Nah.
And it was this whole, but it's just interesting to hear. Oh, let's just get some guys in and I don't know how they pick them or
and just hoop. Yeah. Well, clearly they don't do much of a background check. They just let them in. No, it was God. That was unbelievable. But I find that's more of an American thing. Over here, we're very, not uptight, but very wary and self-conscious of what we look like and how we act, which is sometimes a good thing based on what Americans do. But America, I find when I was over there, I've been the last trip I went to was Dallas, but then before that, I just went over stayed a week and a half in Venice and just went nuts. That was more like you go out, I went by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm there and you just go out for dinner and people come up, hey, what's up, man? You by yourself? That's what it'll never happen here. They'd be like, fucking loser. Steve Smith was in a bar in New York and they took a photo of him and were like, oh, drinking by himself. That sort of thing. You just can't do that as much over here without being judged as you can in America.
And you're from what I've heard, you're actually quite a, you like your independence a little bit.
Very.
You like your own company.
Yeah. People are always quite surprised by that. And that's why it's sort of I want kids and stuff. So I've got to eventually start dating and doing all those sort of things.
So no dating at the moment?
Man, I've been on 4 dates in my life.
4 days?
4 days.
And what was one of them on television?
Yeah, well, 12 of them are on television.
The maths is not mathing here.
Yeah, but I'm just I'm very much it's, I go out to dinner by myself, I go to the movies, I do all that sort of stuff. But I've got a big social circle, but I'm just very choosy of when I do stuff. I'm just very content chucking the AirPods in and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
All the time.
This is a really good point because we had Clint Stanaway on. Who's on the 9 News.
He's a workaholic. Holy shit.
He is.
Holy fucking shit.
Absolute ripper bloke. Great podcast. Did really well. But he spoke about the loneliness factor.
Yeah.
One, from being on the road, which you do as well. And you were just telling us you went to New Zealand by yourself.
Yeah.
But 2, obviously being single and traveling so much, he struggles with, or not so much anymore, but he said there was a period of his life where being interstate, he struggled being on his own.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And Clint's going away like every weekend, and his career's fucking flying because of it, because he works so hard. But you look at it like, for example, everyone else goes to work and they've got their workmates and they've got this, they go 9 to 5, they do this. It's all like this cookie cutter sort of thing. Whereas for me, you know, I'm home during the day. My hours are so frantic. I'm traveling around. I'm doing this sort of stuff. The only other people working this, like, am I going to go hit up Dwayne Russell and be like, hey, can I come kick it? Like, Jack Heverin, like Jack Heverin's got 2 kids, 2 kids and a wife. Like he's off doing his stuff. Like the people you work with, you don't necessarily hang out with at all because you're all, you know, you sort of in essence hanging out when you're working.
Yes.
Because it's a more casual sort of thing. So you get your fix, your sort of social fix via that. It's not like you're sitting in an office doing that. And then when you finish that, it's like, so I'm so lucky I've got this gym that I go to, Revel, which is fantastic because it's, you know, it's sort of all these people like that. And there's guys at PTs and stuff that I get along with real well and sort of we'll hang out and that sort of stuff. But, you know, outside of that, like, fuck, what do you do? And if somebody doesn't use like dating apps, I go, where do you actually meet people? Because everyone's a lot, in my industry, everyone's a lot older. So it's a tough one.
Who was I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm trying to rack my brains who it was, but they were talking about, like, how hard it is to make friends as an adult.
It was
like,
me.
oh,
It was
yeah.
us.
Yeah, it was us. But
Was it us?
Yeah.
No.
No.
It was on the
talking to someone else
podcast
about
10 minutes
this.
ago,
I was
man.
telling you about the conversation I had.
That's
and we
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was literally about like at school. Obviously, you
Yeah.
make your schoolmates, and if you decide to move state or country or whatever, and you got to start again, it's like in some ways going out and dating is it's kind of acceptable. But where do you go meet like people that are like
Run clubs these days.
Yeah.
But also, like the hard thing is, I always picture this, like, you know, like, and everything life's good. The money's great. Everything, like, everything's together to the point where it's like, okay, I could happily get in a relationship now.
Yeah.
But it's like you go out on a date and be like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? Probably gonna watch some NBA highlights in the morning. Might go to the gym. Like, yeah, and then what do you, like, all your stuff's on the weekend. So it's sort of like you're self-conscious of, you know, if I was to date this person, how could I even catch up with them? Like, do you want to come to the NBL? Like, that's working with a niche market.
Courtside, you know.
Some chick will be like, "Oh my god, I've been waiting for someone to fucking say that."
Are you also too? Are you wary of people's intentions for either clout?
Oh, I think luckily working on the D list level, you're safe. And if they are, then they're fucking stupid. Because they'll take me for my Mazda CX-5. Yeah, I can imagine like if you did get like to a certain level, that would be a real issue. Like one of my best mates plays in the NBA, and you know, he's in a happy relationship now. But that was always a thought. Anyway, anytime someone came along, I'm like. But even when you're making friends, you're like,
Yeah, it's
for
everybody.
That. Like, I'm lucky. I'm like just a real average dude. You just got to be. Okay, I'm happy to stay at this level. If my career progresses, I'm in trouble.
But it's like you said, it's not just relationships, but it's friends. It's
everything.
It's everything. Business.
Yeah.
Everybody would want a piece. Like
Well, you can see that in the like, especially in, you know, actors and stuff like that, all getting relationships with each other. Even the TV industry here, it is a little bit incestual. People move in between different people. So, yeah. No, well, hopefully it gets to that point one day that I have to worry about like properly.
I think you're being a little humble though.
Yeah. No, well, it's mostly the sort of places I socialise at Revs. No one really knows who anyone is. It's part of the reason like you love going to somewhere like that versus like Electric.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, I'm always a staunch defender of, you know, I don't go that much anymore, but when I used to go a lot more, like, man, that's just good old fashioned fun.
I've never
And
considered
no one
Rev
cares.
so much until this podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's like no one cares who anyone is. That's my like. I look at some of the nightlife in Melbourne, and people are so wary of. Oh fuck! Who are you?
Come on, drop
you know,
names.
You do
Give us
this, yeah.
venues.
No, because I love going to these venues, so I won't. I still do. I say it, but I go there and I go, I fucking hate this place.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I hate this place. 2 vodka sodas, thanks. But yeah, whereas in America, like going out in Venice Beach, it's just, man, you're talking to people, you're going over and you're socializing. Like you would meet on a night out in somewhere like Venice Beach or even Dallas, 10 times the amount of people you would meet here.
That's so disappointing.
It is. It's terrible.
That's so true.
Yeah. And Sydney's the worst with it. Sydney's worse than here. They're much more cliquey. Melbourne's even a little bit better. But I just find we talk about this whole like Australian culture thing. The one thing I miss the most about that is America, where you can go out and just Hey, what's up? Where are you guys from?
Couldn't agree more. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, that's probably with you. They're wondering whether you're circumcised or not. So it's always
probably. Apparently, that's what people think.
they don't
straight
want to
away.
be like,
Yeah.
apparently he's uncut.
Maybe I'll start conversations like that in the future. Like, hey,
You know,
we play a
one-
game. Can you guess? Yes or no?
That was one of the funniest.
Is there a helmet or not?
When someone, thanks, Bays Ford. That was one of the best radio things when people called up and pranked, was it the Jared Waitley? Someone called up and it was this long-winded question and it ended with, is Buckley circumcised? And Jared's like, that's enough. Anyone, your number's getting blocked.
I haven't heard that one.
Neither have I. I've heard
it's this bloke sitting in his car. Look up Buckley circumcised. And I hope that.
What's the one where you love? Is that 3AW?
That's 3AW.
Yeah, anchovies.
Anchovies.
That's one of the
I
goats.
went
Toby.
I went through a phase where we were watching that. They used to always do it to the religious networks in the States.
Oh, right.
Like those YouTube ones. And one of the ones, the guy's phone broke and he couldn't hang up the call. And this guy's like, ha ha ha, dickhead. And the guy's like, we're gonna work this out. Yeah, God.
Touching on the Bachelor a little bit, in all seriousness, the intent of going on the show, were you actually looking for something, or was it?
Yeah, look, they called me and said, would you is this something you'd be willing to do? And I sort of said, I'm quite happy with how everything is at the moment, not too interested. And they said, we'll pay you this much. And I said, yeah, fuck, that probably am a little more interested. Looking for love. No, it was more of, look, to be honest, when I went into it, I was like, I am someone who prefers to meet people in person.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer talking over texting. I text like a dad, and I respond like you've seen, like even on fucking Instagram. I'm like, I'm always wary of like, do I sound cold? And you walk in, you're like, man, this guy isn't as much of a dick as he seems. But I'm just wary of that. So I was like, this would be a great opportunity because I was looking at what previous seasons were to go and do that. And then I think because it turned into 3 people, they always had to have a villain. And originally it wasn't going to be that, and then it sort of went to that. And and admittedly throughout it, like people are always like, "Oh, you got a bad edit." Like some of my friends like, "You got a good edit, man. We know you." It's like, I thought one of my mates, I thought you came up well. I was like, that is a terrible thing. you need to lift your standards.
By the way, I've never heard him laugh as much at a podcast.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm actually been sweating the whole time.
low standards. Yeah. But on the first night, like I made it so they could, like I do believe I got a terrible edit. Like I believe there was a lot of things that were manufactured to make me look like I was a player, which is funny because it's a lot of people for a while thought I was gay because they were like, this guy never talks to women. And then I go on this show and everyone's like, this is the horniest motherfucker on earth. And I'm like, hold up. What? How can I be gay and just like a fuckboy? Like, where's this working? Yeah, where's it going? But then that's the thing. You just got to, you just can't care about public perception in that regard. But on the first night, I kissed this girl right in front of everyone. And it's like, okay, well, I just gave them an easy in because unbeknownst to a lot of people, I'd never been in a situation where I'm sitting there with 12 dates in the one room and not really knowing what to do. But
Isn't that the point of the show?
It is, but it was fairly forward. Like,
Bang.
And I got a long neck. I kiss like an idiot. Like it's like I'm like in there. Like it's just not. It's not a good look. And the camera angle when they're sitting down there, like looking up right at me, getting me all sorts of ways. It's like, okay, I lose this one. I'll win eventually, but I lose this one. And I think it just gave them the in to sort of create that narrative around, oh, this guy's trying to get with everyone. When it's like, I didn't like anyone that much on the show. Like I just didn't have, it's hard for me to like people the best of times. It was, I gave them that in. But you also, man, you go on reality TV, you run the gauntlet. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, how dare they do this? Like, it's reality TV. They're there to make the best TV show they could. And in their defense, it was quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Like what they did to me was quite entertaining. It created a whole narrative in the show, which I don't think the show would have been as entertaining if they didn't do that. It would have been quite bland. So
it is quite funny you saying that because you'd be so naive to think that these shows are purely for love.
100%.
They're not.
Yeah. And in the past, they had done, it had been, make The Bachelor look good, The Bachelor's the hero, that sort of thing. But then I think now it's, with maths and all of that, the idea is you need a villain.
Yes.
To make it entertaining, especially if you've got 3, you could do that. So I hold no ill feelings towards it and that sort of stuff. I look back on it and I'm like, That's TV.
And surely the majority of the public watching it actually understand that now. Well, I mean, not everyone.
Anyone
would.
outside of like, it seems to be there's this like real niche of middle-aged women.
Yeah, I was about to say that would
That
be
are like-
that would be your absolute
Yeah.
niche.
It's like the ones there was this video on Facebook of Billie Eilish singing, and it said Billie Eilish performance ends. Mice walk up to the microphone and squeak a song. And it's like these AI mice coming up, and the comments like, "Wow, so beautiful." I'm like, what the fuck sort of world are we living in, man? These are the same people saying I'm a dick. Alvin and the Chipmunks have just done a performance, and you think it's legit? You can't read the AI. So I'm like, oh god. And you see stuff like that, and you're like, okay, well, maybe their judgment is not. But
fuck.
I remember I went to the Warrnambool Cup. And this is the same, that sort of, because younger people are usually, they know, and usually when someone meets you, they're like, okay, well, he's not a total cockhead.
Yeah.
Like he was made out to be.
Yeah.
And it's also the other one I say with that, like surely if I was a player or something, there'd be some sort of dirt you could get on me.
Absolutely.
Like someone
yeah.
would come out and
There's
say,
screenshots,
there'd be a
there's- yeah.
screenshot, there'd be something like that. It's like, that stuff and that, they were hunting for it as well. Daily Mail was hunting for that stuff.
Daily
Because
Mail,
they were texting around looking for it. And I was like, man, you're going to find a thumbs up from me. That's about it.
Yeah.
Where
Like,
was the
that's
last
where
time have you Googled yourself? Because we had to Google
On the
you
way
today.
here. No.
So where was the last time?
No,
2 hours ago.
I try not to. Oh, I have told. I wonder if I've told this story before about the book. Oh no, this is a ripper.
Oh,
Here we
here
go.
we go.
This is a story
Strap
within
in.
Yeah,
our
put your
like,
seatbelts on.
thing. So when I went over to the States, it was because I was copping so much heat over here. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go over to Venice Beach, hang out and relax. Now, admittedly, when I arrived there, I went to the mall to get Panda Express, and one of those TikTok kids comes up to me and he goes, "Would you punch your mum for a Tesla?" And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I'm knocking her out for the Tesla. And then I'm like, fuck, man, I'm over here to rebuild my image. And I'm just threatening to knock my mother out for an electric car within 10 minutes of being in the country.
How many views did that get?
I never saw it.
Oh,
It
thank
never,
God.
it never popped up, luckily. But yeah, so I went over there and I was copping all this stuff. And I was like, I knew this. So the paparazzi they had like a couple of photographers that knew I was over there, and I knew they were going to come to the airport.
What, in America?
No. When I arrived back in
Oh,
Australia.
sorry, gotcha, yeah.
So they're like, they just, these people know that's how they make money. It's
Yeah.
so-and-so. So I knew they were going to be there. So I was like, fuck, how do I repair my image here? So I went to the bookstore and I bought this book on like women's rights. It was like this like refugee book, like this really famous one, like a bestseller. So I'm like going to pretend to read it. And I walk out with it and the photos are so funny. It's like so clearly I'm holding the book, like open to page 1, like right next to my hand and stuff like that. It's just sitting right next to me. And then they post all the things with it, like all the stuff like don't make reference to the book or whatsoever. But people on it, the Shameless podcast
Oh, yeah.
was like, this guy's full of shit.
yeah.
They were like, there's no way. There is no way on earth he's read that book. So, girls, you're right. Yeah.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
But
The extents you go to.
Oh, you do it. Yeah. A bit of personal PR there. You needed.
Yeah, well played. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it worked.
what was that? Wait, I forgot what I was asking prior to that. Anyway, cut that. We'll cut that. We might go to
Well, I
Tour
reckon
Edge.
we jump into Tour
Yeah,
Edge.
Tour Edge,
I
let's do
mean,
it.
Felix was telling us he's looking for some golf lessons actually this year. It's his New Year's
Ooh.
resolution. But Tour Edge, their 725 series,
Yes,
they get
bring
the
it
job
over.
done for us, don't they, D?
They absolutely
here.
do, Felix. So even if you're quite new to the golfing
Yeah.
world, these clubs, firstly, they make you look the part. They make you look like a
How
pro.
good is
But they
that?
also, there's a little bit of extra distance and precision in those clubs. They're unbelievable tech. They're quite a new. The Tour Edge 725 is brand new. So
Yeah.
they're changing the game in
I'm
the
not
golfing
getting the
world.
clubs, am I?
Well, we can talk if you
Yeah.
really want to talk.
Sick
We
of fuck. I was like,
can
Jesus
talk.
Christ.
Maybe
Like
we
the
should have-
Sunday footy show on here.
Well,
I know.
we should have actually had a competition where one
should
guest
have.
could have win the
I
club.
know.
You should do one at the end of the year. The best guest
Wins the clubs.
wins the.
Well, we used to do a
wins the
little
club.
putting challenge with every guest,
Yeah.
and maybe we should do something similar
maybe
where
we
they.
should.
You guys have just sold out of the corporate world, haven't you?
Oh,
Tour
no.
Edge has already got their claws
Don't worry,
in here.
that's another one of the TikTok clips all the time. Sellouts.
Precision and distance. I
Having
have
said
to say
that, precision and distance,
Nice.
but we always say go follow them to Edge AU over on Instagram for giveaways and competitions.
Actually, that's another way you can get the clubs. There's plenty of competitions on
Nice.
their Instagram.
I'll just
Yeah.
message him, like, you fucks.
Yeah, message them. That's the best way to do it. Now, we asked you, we set you the challenge to bring in a show and tell item for the Tour Edge segment. So Felix is reaching into his pocket for those listening. Hopefully it hasn't been lost in the
It's a deep couch. It's swallowed him up. Oh no! Don't put your
no.
hands down there.
No.
I hate to know what's down there.
Yeah. All right, so it's time to show and
Show and
tell.
tell.
Brought in the championship ring, which is one of my favourite possessions. Which they should have it over here for every sport. a medal. Are you kidding me? Give me a spell. No one wants a medal. Get the rings. This sort of stuff. But it's just, I always look at it and I'm like, aside from, various liver damage and different things, like your whole college career that's sort of summed up in it. So I just always, you want to play
Oh,
with it?
yeah. I'd love that. Oh, geez, it's actually quite heavy.
Oh, yeah, mate. They're not cheap. Like they
Wow.
really, some of the football ones they have are worth 50, 60 grand.
So you hold the record for the most threes over there, don't you?
Yeah. But the funny thing about that record for the most threes is I shot a lot of shots. So I broke the attempts record a year before I broke the made threes record.
So you've
it's like,
attempted it more than
there's
anyone.
There's a caveat to that one, and I can get that record's never getting broken
unbelievable.
as well. There was
Oh, it's even got your name on
Yeah,
it.
it's got
as
you
well.
know.
Yeah.
Do they measure your finger or
they just say fucking good luck.
just good luck?
No. You do.
I'll let you
do
chuck it.
afterwards. They have a whole.
That's why I'm giving it
They
back.
have a whole ring measuring thing. Oh yeah, let's just throw it on
Sorry,
the
mate. To the water.
Hit him on the tour edge. No, they did a whole like ring measuring sort of thing for it and everything like that. But it's No, that was the funny story about that year when we won the championship. We go to the NCAA tournament and stuff. So we were a smaller school compared to like your Duke and North Carolina and stuff like that. Like in our locker room, like we'd have great facilities, but once the Gatorades are run out, they're gone. Whereas Duke, they restock that shit every day. Motherfuckers were coming in there and just stealing shit on the daily to make sure they get restocked on a Monday. We're in at 2:59. But then we go into the NCAA like tournament locker room, stuff like that. Georgetown. No, who was it? I think North Carolina were in there before us.
Okay.
Didn't touch a thing. Nothing was there. We went in there. Anything that wasn't bolted down was ours. Fucking the fridge was on offer. Our coach was like, we were working out, Jim was like, is there a chance we can get the fridge out of here? Like,
Love
we're,
how the
we're
coach-
ripping stuff off the seats. We're going, this is ours.
Oh
There's
my
apple
God.
juice in there. One of the guys is putting the apple juice into the backpack. Like, act like we've been here before, guys. Act like we've been here. But our head coach goes on so we were playing Georgetown. We were like an all-white team that year. We just happened to be, and we're even in the media, they were sort of making fun of it. We didn't look that athletic. We were coming up against Georgetown, one of the most historically proud black schools. So that was kind of like a bit of a thing that had gone through Twitter and that stuff at the time. Our coach goes on the Jim Rome show, which is one of the biggest radio shows in America. And we're all sitting on the bus and we're like, man, these guys are fucking scary. Georgetown. He guarantees a win on the Jim Rome show. They're like, how do you think you're going to go tomorrow? He goes, we're going to win. I guarantee you we win that game. And we're sitting on the bus like, we're going to get fucking killed now. We're going to get destroyed. And the worst part was we're up 20. I think we're up 17 at one stage and they came back and won. But you could tell like they were just fucking out to get us.
After that.
After that comment. But his theory was, and it makes sense, and I've done the same thing sometimes when tipping in the NBL, no one will remember. Now, I remember it because we're involved in it. But if you call your shot like that, they'll be like, they forget about it.
Yeah.
But if you get it right, then everyone remembers it.
That's
They'll be
true.
like, this dude called his shot and won. Otherwise, they'll be like, doesn't matter.
Well, that's why we're literally coming into that time of the year where we're going to see every
I know.
AFL team as premiers from every,
Oh.
everyone's just going to
You
throw
always
the
say the
most
Swans, always say the
100%,
Bulldogs.
mate.
most outrageous comments of all time, and
Yeah.
somebody will hit the mark somewhere and they'll be the genius.
It's funny how like American style stuff now, thanks to Kane Corns, who I think is
Yeah.
very good. Like I actually think Kane is very well
Agreed.
researched. The issue is he comes up against, in my opinion, airheads sometimes who have gotten by just being ex-players.
Yeah.
Now, not airheads is probably the wrong term, but people that have gotten by just being able to give opinion. Whereas that doesn't work. That's not how it works in America. You've got to be super well researched. I think Kane comes in here and says like, he'll go on that Tim Taranto rant about why with all the stats to back it up. And then all he gets in return is, oh, nah, Tim's good. It's like, what? We've got some fucking numbers here. We've got something about, nah, mate, he's fucking good. He's a great player. He's Tim Taranto.
He's getting paid a lot.
Shit. What? That's why I think Kane, we're going to see the best of Kane once he gets paired with people that can really, data nerds almost. I think that's where
Well, when you think about it, he's already there.
Mate,
Now
he's
wait.
he's
Like,
but
it's
that
going to be so good to
style-
watch.
It's going to be interesting with that style when that starts to take over here
Yeah.
because are the players ready for it? Because people always say like, players say, we can't do this because the media will say this. It's like guys in the NBA can do whatever they want. Man, have you seen what happens to the guys in the NBA?
Yeah.
They get roasted for a week straight. Like Russell Westbrook rocks up in a different T-shirt and it's a meme for a week. Like these guys get roasted, but they just don't care about it. I think that's where we need to get that AFL media space too, where the players understand that just ignore it.
Well, NBA, in my opinion, leads the way globally in terms of just
Access.
Access. That's the word.
It's huge.
Access
Yeah.
And just also, again, like you said, the players just don't give a fuck. They just don't-
That's the thing, and it's easier to not give a fuck when you're getting $16 million.
That's true.
I admit
That's
that
true.
is, and you're also over there. They're so disconnected from general life. Everything's done for them. Whereas over here, like footy players, you go to the supermarket, you go to the same pubs. You go.
Yeah.
It's a lot more connected. Where if you're getting roasted, you know, it's a little more. I'll have a little more sympathy for a guy. You got to go to the pub.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, like talking about Swan Hotel and some of those venues in that area. Like when you go out on Saturday night, like you see all the players there.
Yeah.
But I can't believe the stuff that they do when everybody knows.
Man, there is a culture over here
It's unbelievable.
where it's just. Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more stuff that gets out.
I can't believe stuff doesn't get out.
Yeah,
Like-
it is interesting.
and if it got out though, all hell would break loose.
That's the thing. And
But I don't know why
surely
people take the
we're
risk,
going
it's
to get to the point where people are just be like, oh fuck it, it
Yeah,
happens.
who cares?
It happens.
Exactly.
Who cares, man?
Yeah,
There's like
exactly
3
right.
people out there, and they're in the comments, Debbie Goldsworth or whatever. Actually, I think I know someone named Debbie Goldsworth.
that rolled off the tongue.
I think
That-
just-
that was very
I thought Debbie, and then I brought in a name there, so I'm not talking about that person, but they're that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
just. Stay away from Facebook. That's what I say. The Instagram comments, they're usually like normal. Twitter, you can get a bit rogue on Twitter because you can be very anonymous on Twitter.
Yes.
But Facebook is just...
It's funny how that all the different platforms have their
Yeah,
own
the
their
boomers
demographics,
have got a stranglehold on Facebook. That's still their territory. They're not giving it
and
up.
they're not giving it up anytime soon.
AI is just having a field day over there.
Oh yeah. Well, do you want to present Felix with some of his
Oh
gifts?
yeah, here we go. You're not going home empty-handed.
Where's my fucking
Felix.
shit, guys?
Where's my
Just
shit?
checking the
I
time.
think I
guys.
came here.
We'll
think I
bring-
came here to chat.
Well, bring in the milkman. Bring in the milkman.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
you're gonna
Russell.
love. You're gonna love.
You're
the
gonna love
milkman.
this.
Oh,
You're gonna
no.
love this one.
No,
this is-
foreskin in here.
Gonna
Oh,
love-
there we go.
Yeah, have a look what's in there because the
Blooming.
milkman's actually supplied you with something special.
Oh, candy bar.
A bit of. Is that the natural deodorant?
There's natural
Or
deodorant
natural
in there.
What are you
aftershave?
trying to say?
Yeah, you do smell a bit.
Gifting me some bloody deodorant.
And then I think there's some beard oil in there as well.
Is there a
beard
beard
oil?
product in there for you?
There is.
Which is very fitting because we've got.
Or maybe it's not.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
got
in
the,
there?
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There we
the
go.
double.
The
Thank
milkman
you.
set you up
Thank
there.
you,
We need
milkman.
to say, I should say, to anybody listening or watching, if you are in need for your male grooming products, Dos, look no further than the milkman. And if you use the code dos&d, get 20% off your first order.
20%.
20% off.
Wow.
So we're talking deodorants, colognes, beard oil, body wash, all things male grooming.
How good's that?
So
Next
they've
in
looked
the-
after you.
No
I think-
longer will we smell like shit, boys.
I know.
It's
I
a
know.
new era.
Why do you
I
reckon
know.
we chase them?
Yeah.
Please sponsor us. Bring
now-
in the little goodie bag there,
Yeah,
Bryce.
Bryce is bringing over the
Oh,
dos
there
and
we go. I mean,
D.
the dos&d. This is so Brunswick.
Bro-
Can you imagine walking around with a dos
I was going to
and D?
say, anybody that lives in Brunswick certainly
Oh,
does
wow.
not listen to this show. We can tell
What's
you
in
that.
there,
Oh,
D?
jeez.
Well,
Oh, there we go.
there we go.
Tour
So
Edge.
Tour Edge. There you go. So
Thank
Tour Edge
you.
and Bayford Ford, the segments we've already talked about. There's a nice little bucket hat for you.
Oh, gee, that'll be nice.
There
Oh,
you
there
go.
we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was sick of the sun. I was getting really annoyed at that recently.
That'll sort you out for
Oh,
next
that's
time.
a little drink bottle in
There's-
there from Bayford Ford.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Bayford.
And then Masashi, there's a couple of protein bars in there for you as well.
This is a solid. We got
Oh,
some.
yeah, Fleet
yeah,
Plant.
ball sack.
Little ball sack from our friends at Fleet Plant. They got a few golf balls,
Balls,
some
tees, towel. They
Another
will
glove.
sort you out on the golf course, Felix. And then, like we
Jeez.
said, Musashi bars in there. Big thank you to them. But the best of all is, of course, the tote bag.
Oh, yeah,
Dos
the
and
Dos-
D
Dos and
tote
D
bag.
tote
So-
bag. That'll
Yeah.
So if you go to
Flying off the shelves.
yeah, if you go
thanks,
to
fellas. That's
Woolies
good.
later on, you've got a nice little bag. But no, we want to say big thank you, mate, for coming on. This is, like you said, you're workaholic and you're busy, and this is your busy time of year. So we do appreciate it.
No, I
So-
appreciate it, guys. Fantastic chat. And it's funny, we'll probably look back and see the podcast will be up here. I will have cancelled myself in some sort of variety. I'll say, hey, boys, come on, man, just give me one more interview. I need the PR. It's either here or I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here.
when we have a third member on the dos&d show, dos&d and Felix.
Yeah,
we
that
can do that.
rolls
We
off the
could-
tongue all right.
Dos&d and Felix.
or Felix dos&d. We'll work it out.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Appreciate
fellas.
it.